Welcome to HomeGrown The Series. I'm your host, Emmanuel Davis. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with veteran and creator of Dion Chicago's Dream, Dion Dawson. Dion, welcome to HomeGrown The Series.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm well and you, man. It's a nice, cool evening.
Definitely, man. Look, I can't complain, man. Can't complain at all.
First things first, I want to give you a double thank you for your service in the Inglewood community, but also serving this country. So thank you and thank you.
Appreciate it.
Before we get into the world of philanthropy and all that you have accomplished in these last couple of years, I want to talk to young Dion. Can you share some of your fondest memories from Manor Park?
I mean, it's funny because now that I get older, my fondest memories are like, it's a mix. Of course, you have some experiences, but like it's the struggle. Like I don't know, like
Yeah.
I'm the opposite now, where it's like I appreciate those defining moments. So the standing on the bus stops, the going to school and somebody else clothes. I don't know, like for me, like just being able to be myself, being the youngest of four boys, and never us being homeless, so we stay with other people. So when I was around my brothers, it was a premium, you know what I mean? And to still have my brothers to this day, and still, even though I am a leader, I've always felt like that. But my fondest memories is just day-to-day living and being hyper aware. Like I've always been aware of a moment. And
Yeah.
so just growing up, learning how to fry people, you know what I mean? Knowing that I was, homeless, but when you're in the fire, it don't matter. You know what I mean? So,
Thanks.
as old school say, playing the dozen. So like, I man, like just, I don't know, like I'm just, Inglewood, and I'm Chicago, I'm South Side. I don't know, like it's just me, like
Yeah.
especially after being in the military. You know what I mean? You really realize what makes you Chicago, what makes you New York, or makes you Baltimore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or New Orleans. Like I have guys and gals that are of those places, and so I'm just Chicago, man.
How have you, and that's a very, very true statement. When you go out of town, people see like, oh, I'm from Chicago. I can tell.
Yeah,
It's just the way we carry ourselves.
definitely.
It's something that you just can't pinpoint. You be like, I can tell you from there.
Yeah.
So being that you're from Chicago, being that you're a native son of Inglewood, how have you seen, like many neighborhoods on the South Side have changed? How have you seen Inglewood change? And has it been for the better, or is it more in the middle?
Honestly, it's neither. I think,
Okay.
for me, when you look at it, I think your reference point, decides how you look at something. And so for me, it's just a evolution of everything. You know what I mean? You look at this generation, you look at the technological evolution, you look at the physical evolution, you look at the political evolution, the socioeconomic, evolution, the health effects that are taking place because of the pandemic. And I just think that it's just about this generation becoming its own. And so it's neither bad nor good, because I see good in all. You know what I mean? I think especially when we're talking about philanthropy, or just talking about being a leader in the community, you have to have a certain love and appreciation for all. You know what I mean? I think that has to be something that we get back to making that a prerequisite of being a leader, that you have to love unconditionally. And so for me, it's just Inglewood has changed but stayed the same. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's we evolve, but there's still the lack of opportunity, but there's still the resiliency, there's still the hard work,
Yeah.
but there's still the food deserts, but there's also still media personalities that come out of the South Side. There's athletes that come out of the South Side. There's smart, amazing young people that are coming out of the South Side. So for me, it's just the same as everywhere else. We're just trying to survive.
Well, you definitely showed time and time again how you always stepped up to the plate and showed that you were smart, even with everything that was going on in your personal life. You were valedictorian at Window Homes, and then you moved on I don't know too much about the high school end of it, but what was your mindset when you were in school to continue to be a role model student, to continue to excel in your schools, I mean, your
So,
studies?
I mean, I would honestly, credit my friends in grammar school, and because they were cognizant of what was going on in my personal life. They were aware, and they kept me preoccupied with other stuff, and they kind of protected me. And my friends, to this day, I always thank them, still to this day, Antoine, Mark, Paris, Troy, Ron, a lot of different people who allowed me to be me, you know what I mean? And so for school, it wasn't about being a model student. I
Mhm.
felt like I was, equal to everybody else.
Okay.
And me feeling like an equal allowed me to believe that I could be a dog. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? So because of that, it wasn't a behind, you know, the scenes, redemption story. It was more of like, okay, I felt like when, 9 o'clock hit in the morning, I had a fair shot. And
Hmm.
between the lines is where I'm dangerous. It's like, okay, you could give somebody else $20, you give me $20, I'm gonna try to show you, what could be done. And so that's what school was for me. It was a chance to show that it didn't matter what happened before 9, you know what I mean? But when it was time to prove that I knew who I was, I never backed down. I said, man, like I'm him. I can do this. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And from there, that's just been something that I've always been able to keep with me.
And you took that with you when you joined the Navy?
Definitely. I mean, high school was rough because, that is where you're more cognizant of the financial disparities between each family and each school. As
Okay.
a family, or as a young guy who's living with other people, I went to a school, started at Curie, graduated at Gage Park, where Curie didn't have a uniform. In the early 2000s, that's rough. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but in spite of still be going to Gage Park my last year, still graduating. And then when I went to the military, it was just out of after graduating, I went to Chicago State. I didn't know about college. I didn't, me as a smart guy, I didn't know about college, know about HBCUs and things like that. I was just trying to survive through high school. And
Yeah.
so, here I am graduating high school, and I go to Chicago State, and it was so wildly uncomfortable because I didn't have anybody, there to assist me with that transition. And
Okay.
so, I was shook the first time I went. I left after 3 days. You know what I mean? I'll go into a communications class with all seniors, and they're like calling the professor by the first name, and everybody in there in house shoes, and they know each other by name. And it was such a culture shock for me. And so I was
Hmm.
like, you know what, no. So I went to, the recruiter's office, and the Marines, Army, and Navy was right there. I wasn't going to do Marines, so I decided, I said it's either between Army or Navy, and the Army office was closed for lunch. Went into the Navy office.
Yeah.
Told them I'll go as long as I could talk. Ended up being coded as a mass communication specialist, and the rest was history. You know what I mean? And so I credit the Navy with being able to know how to tell my story, and know how to I learned journalism, photojournalism, photography, web design, public relations, internal external communication. And so that is the foundation that I've had as the market went in that direction.
Yeah. But can I brag on you for a second?
All right, talk to me.
Because you were awarded one of the Navy's highest communication honors in the Russell Agnor Media Award.
Yeah, so
Can you talk about that feeling? That was it an accomplishment? Was that
oh
on the
no.
list of things that you want to achieve? Or
First of all, definitely, because when I
okay.
found out that that was the pinnacle of our rate of our job in the military, I told my chief, I remember, the year before I won, I actually got second place, and it
Mm.
drove me crazy. It drove me crazy. And my chief walked in there, Chief Nance, and he looked at me, and he said, if you're not first, you're last, and walked out. And now, no, hold on. I'll tell you this. He knew that I wasn't operating at peak efficiency. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Because I was the best on my ship, at journalism and at writing, that didn't mean anything. This is a Navy-wide award. And so now it's about competing to be the best version of myself, you know what I mean? And not just looking at what's around me. And that allowed me to really turn it up a notch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the next year I won a Russell Agner Navy Media Award. And actually what's bigger than that is the Thomas Jefferson Award that I won. I didn't know that when you place first place in a Russell Agner Award, you're immediately put up with first place in every other branch. And so the
Oh,
Thomas Jefferson Award
okay.
was actually DOD wide, and I won that.
Congratulations, man.
Appreciate it.
But so I don't know the chain of events, but you had a realization when you were in the Red Sea one night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you explain to me your mental health and what actually happened?
Yeah. So when you're deployed, we say in the Navy the skin of the ship. So the skin of the ship is just being inside the ship,
Okay.
especially if you don't have a job that's like directly on the flight deck or as far as navigation. And so on our aircraft carrier, you can be inside the skin of the ship for days at a time. And so if you get a little restless, your chief will tell you, hey, go get some air. You know what I mean? And so that at night, after being told to get some air, I go out there and I have a panic attack. It was the first time I've ever been anywhere, and I looked around, I saw nothing.
Okay.
The scariest moment, of my life. But the thing that eased my mind was thinking about Inglewood. You know what I mean? Here I am, on the other side of the world. And so, that just always something that, stuck with me, is always being proud of being able to be from Inglewood and do something and know that no matter what, like, I'm gonna go back. It never was a doubt in my mind. I never thought that I would, get this job and then get out the Navy and go somewhere else. No, like it was always in the cards to come back to Inglewood.
Okay. That's a very real, authentic, and just an incredible to have that hindsight to be like, okay, I'm all the way over here, but my heart is still in my community. And when you came back, did you immediately want to go and focus on Inglewood, or were you
Not at
trying
all.
to get?
It was actually the roughest time of my life. Like, it's funny because you know, that's where, my marriage, struggled. I didn't know what being married outside of the military was. It was learning to transition when the way that transitioning out of the Navy or the military is not really set up for people of color.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so it's a little different, you know what I mean? And so of course we're fighting for those, to equal out, all of the transitions in different industries. But, for me, it got to the point where, as I was trying to figure everything out, I was living in my car after the Navy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so, that's humbling,
For
but
sure.
but you know, I've never approached my life as if I'm better than anything or anybody. And so because of me, that humbleness is what saved me. And so, I never, thought I was too good to be down, but I just know that I've never been normal. You know what I mean? I've never, I've always felt that, I was meant to be something special. And so from that moment, I just decided, after going through all of that and figuring out, my marriage and things like that, the tipping point was in 2017. I got out in 2015. 2017 is when I found out that my mom had kidney cancer. And for me, I just knew that when I told her we were gonna fight, she knows me. Every parent, but not just parents. You know what I mean? Like when you have a special connection with somebody, if what they're telling you they believe it. And so I just didn't want to look at my mom and tell her to fight, and I wasn't fighting with her.
Yeah.
And so at that moment, I just decided that everything before this moment didn't matter. And from there, I left everything where it was. I just decided to build my life, in a way that I wanted it to be. And, my mom, she beat kidney cancer. And, from there, it just started, building my life back up into, being the man and being the leader that I know I could be.
Do you feel like the adversity that you may have faced, and it seems like it didn't normally people, when they deal with adversity, it beats them down, but you continue to rise in your school, in your studies, in the Navy. Do you feel like those unique experiences molded you into this man right here?
I mean, even if I didn't feel like that, I think that it was necessary.
Okay,
But for me, in the time, it didn't feel like that. The Navy was a struggle because I was a square peg in a round hole. You know what I mean? But I still, had my moment where I understood when, sometimes you got to just work your butt off.
for sure.
And it, I just always felt as if I don't have to do what everybody else does to be me. You know what I mean? And now more than anything, I'm just comfortable with being myself, and I'm comfortable
Okay.
with being in the moment, and I'm comfortable with my past. I don't have to know why something happened to be at peace with it. You know what I mean?
For
And so
sure.
because of it, it was necessary to create the man I am today. And because of that, I'm just thankful that, I'm here and I can, articulate how it not only affected me, but it motivated me to be the man I am now.
That was a real answer. Appreciate that. No, you always, one thing that I did notice in researching for this and for this conversation, you are authentic
Of course.
and it shows through and through. A lot of people put up a facade of something, and no, when you see you, when you talk to you, you're Dion.
Yeah, I tell myself it's two things that kind of guide me in my approach. Number one is I told myself I would never allow my purpose to be a prison. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And that's important because there is not oh, the good and the bad. No, it's just me. And this is my lived experience, and nobody can argue my lived experience.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, my favorite J. Cole lyric, when he said, I am a man of the people, not above but equal. And for
Yeah.
the greater good, I'll walk amongst the evil. You know what I mean? I'm no better than anybody. And I try to make sure that everything that I do is always, centered around, making the living experience better for everybody else. And as long as I do that, then I'll never be too high where I can't be humbled, and I'll never be too low where I can't be pulled up. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
about staying even keeled.
You you also mentioned, and you somewhat hinted at this, you're on a mission to so that nobody feels unseen or unheard.
Of course, because that's the
Um,
scariest thing in the world. That's the, to scream is equal parts of expression
mhm,
and you believing that it's being perceived by another party.
okay.
And when it comes to feeling unheard, it's a scary, empty feeling. And me feeling that before, I don't ever want anybody to feel that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't want people to feel as if their words or their spirit does not matter, because everybody matters. And
correct.
so, feeling unseen or feeling unheard is just, something that goes directly against the very thought of living. We're
Yeah.
living, breathing, moving beings. And if you feel as though the opposite of that, that's just a scary feeling that I don't want anybody to feel. And so if I can do anything to help that, then I will do it.
And was that one of the many driving forces behind your creation of Dion Chicago's Dream?
I just, initially when I was approached and, somebody asked me what I'm doing for Juneteenth last year, it just started off as, me holding myself accountable to do something and lead, but also, having the audacity to just dream and believe. I don't doubt myself. I don't doubt any move. I don't doubt any event. I don't doubt any programming. There's no I like there's nothing in me that doesn't believe. And so because of that, when somebody else is spending time doubling back or mulling a decision, I'm off to the races. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's just it. And so, when it comes to this organization, there's so many different factors. Even just looking at the philanthropic landscape and seeing the disparity in and how they're built and how they're maintained and how they're not built to thrive.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I just said no. I mean, I was challenged early on. Some people ask me what makes me think I could lead an organization, and yeah, honestly. But you know what, the thing about it is that I represent not a part of society, but like a part of everybody, because everybody's had that moment where they felt they didn't matter. And the one thing that they wish they could have had was somebody just tell them that they love them, somebody to tell them that they matter, to tell them that you're doing a great job. And it's so easy to get caught up in being a hashtag, but not owning it. You know what I mean? But going in that space and really being you and making sure that you are protecting Black women, that you are protecting children, that you are talking about the youth and understanding that everybody's just trying to be the best version of themselves that they know themselves to be. And so for me, I'm no better than the youth. You know what I mean? I just hope that, they're alive long enough to, right that ship, you know what I mean? If they make a mistake, and if I can help them in any way, or if anybody else can help them, then we can do it. And so, this organization is, and I call it, our network is a dream team, and we're all dream teamers. You know what I mean? Like, the dream team is everybody. It's not just about giving money. It's not just about volunteering, which I don't like. You know what I mean? It's about, just a central theme or belief that everybody can like attach to, and it's kind of be that driving force to knowing that better can happen.
Absolutely. That you talk about momentum and perspective. You have a story about being on a beach and everybody playing their part. And you said you were created to create, you and your dream team create the sandcastle.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me, because being a Chicagoan, I get truly irritated when you see money allocated to this and that, when they got rid of that Dominic's on 71st, when that they got rid of that Jewel on 79th, that that Inglewood finally got some kind of quality grocery store.
But you're also wrong though, because you're allowing negativity to fuel your perspective. And so I understand all of that, but again, who are we to, we don't understand every aspect of why it's gone. They didn't take it per se. You know what I mean? There's always the ambiguity when it comes to the they.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not to mention, maybe we're not meant to understand it. You know what I mean? It takes too much bandwidth for you to try to understand it, when, just like you're talking about those resources being allocated, well, let's talk about your bandwidth being allocated to something that you can't solve. Why go back and spend 20% of your bandwidth on a decision that's already final and in the history books, when you could turn around and use that 20 to figure out how you can make it so that, you can soften some of that blow that's there. You know what I mean? And so for me, we do have a Whole Foods, but the Whole Foods doesn't, totally match the palette, of the neighborhood. It doesn't match Inglewood being in the bottom 10% of median incomes in Chicago. You know what I mean? And so, of course it's there, you know what I mean? And I'm not knocking it or saying that it's not a great thing, but I also know that, who am I to choose what people want? When it comes to philanthropy, there's this underlying arrogance of, oh, well, they need this and they should get that. Who are you to tell somebody what they deserve? The only thing we can do is try to, at best, give them the option. And if they don't choose it, we still love them. That's why we focus on food insecurity and not hunger. Hunger is a feeling that you fight with anything. Food insecurity is consistent, healthy choice. So even if they don't take it, we give them that choice.
Yeah. Now that you're challenging, and that's good, because it furthers the conversation and furthers the dialogue. But that person that asked you, why would you start this, and what makes you a leader, that answer that you just gave me answers that.
I mean, yeah, but I will tell you, maybe further down the line, it was a pretty notable person in Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah, but
when I
we,
stop recording, we could.
yeah, we yeah, but the good thing is that they didn't know me, you know, and you never want to assume anything bad. I just walk around with the assumption that all people are innately good and just trying to survive. You don't wake up as, a gangbanger and say, oh, I'm gonna shoot 5 people. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes the situation gets away from you. And so for me, I think everybody is just good and trying to survive. And for me, I hope that interacting with, me and my spirit and my team and my movement and my organization and my love will, stick with them. And that's all it's about.
You're a leader, man. In every definition of the word, you are a leader. And just your response, those last 2 responses kind of shook me at the core about protecting Black women. Don't talk about it, be about it.
Of course.
Like anybody can put up a hashtag, yes. Anybody can point the finger. And even I was going to ask about the positive and negative effects of the media covering Inglewood, and
I don't even care. I don't even care.
And that's the thing. I'm an outsider and you're an insider. So
no, it's not. It's not about. Don't look at it like that. You have to make sure that the constructs that you use to frame your perspective is not furthering, division. For me,
yeah,
I decide to tell the story every day. I can't wait for somebody to tell the story.
Yeah.
So anything that they highlight, the highlight for me is not in the people that highlight the work. The highlight is the work.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to Inglewood, why are we always mentioning, if you notice, if you in any interview, I don't mention the bad.
Correct.
Why?
Even on your social media, you don't.
Why do we have to preface good with bad? It makes no sense. So for me, it's like, oh, well, Inglewood is always known for this. What about this? Well, now you have them thinking about what it's known for.
Yeah.
And so, there's violence everywhere.
For sure.
But it's just different because the Gold Coast don't highlight their violence when actually the Gold Coast averages more robberies than any neighborhoods, than many of the Black and brown communities. They don't highlight it. They highlight the shopping district. They highlight the tourism. They don't highlight that you're more likely to get robbed, in the Gold Coast than you are in Inglewood. You know what I mean? And so because of that, it's about understanding what we choose to highlight. And I just will not, preface, good. I will not preface love with, the opposite. It makes no sense to. It's like saying, like, man, and instead of being known for my ex-wife, look at my wife. It's like, what? Yeah. What are we doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even your ex-wife will be somebody else's wife. You know what I mean? You have to respect the perspective and the reference point. You know what I mean?
Where did this attitude come from?
I think, honestly, it's just about allowing myself to understand that I'm not perfect. Understand that there are things that I don't know, but just trying to be better and interacting with, individuals, interacting with, education, with lived experience, and requiring myself to be better. It is imperative that as a community leader, if you look at me last year, you look at me now, that I be better. And so it should come across. And if you see an interview and then you hear me now, because I can't allow the work to harden out my heart. And so, the only thing is that, my love, for Inglewood is still there. And it only, it's just for everybody. It's always there and it always grows.
And I feel like that love will be evident when you open up the Dream Hub.
I mean, but what's funny is, originally I thought about, that the crazy thing is not getting the location allowed us to start drink deliveries, which is totally reshaping fighting food insecurity. You know what I mean? And so that was only a result of understanding that our impact as an org has to go beyond where I am physically.
Yeah.
And so because of that, now you have Dream Deliveries, which is, delivering within a 60-mile radius to more than 113 homes. And we're feeding people from Evanston to Schiller Park to Merrill's Park, because when a family enrolls in Dream Deliveries, they don't get off. We feed them of 8 to 10 pound box of fresh fruits and vegetables every week. And so that's the beautiful thing. It's like, not having, of course, the location will come, but who knows what it will look like when it comes. The big thing is understanding that the pandemic taught us to meet people where they are. And that's what Dream Deliveries did. It allowed us to get inside the home, to show them that we love them, and to not have to put all these predetermining factors around giving them what is rightfully theirs, which is a right to choose healthy fruits and vegetables.
I kind of threw my notes away because you in my mind, I have to give the contrast. Like you see the bad, and I want to highlight your good.
Yeah.
But from just talking to you, why even turn that volume up on the bad?
What's funny is that if you just focus on people trying to survive, you won't even classify it as bad.
Yeah.
Of course, violence is unfortunate, and of course we're fighting every day, but man, it's just if I wake up tomorrow and you wake up tomorrow, you sitting there thinking about your hand that you got dealt yesterday, not realizing you got 4 spades. And I'm sitting there, I got no spades in a jack of club, but man, go walk because I'm focused.
You know what I mean? Dad, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. And so that's what it's about. It's just I'm lucky enough to truly just be me, like you said, and I don't have to be nervous. Most of the time, I'm by myself. You know what I mean? Because I'm in the community and I love my community. But there is no bad. You know what I mean?
How has the reception been from then to now?
It's been amazing. Because we're focused on the people. We out there every day. You know what I mean? That's the thing. We decided to change the tempo.
Yeah, for sure.
Philanthropy should not be a lifetime achievement award.
Okay.
Philanthropy should be like sales. It should be about, what have you done for me lately? Because it keeps that hunger alive. I don't care if you've been fighting food insecurity for 40 years. You ain't learned nothing. You ain't learned that in 40 years that if you don't own anything in your supply chain, that you don't matter. Because if you're waiting on donated food, then the supplier of said donated food controls you.
Yeah.
If you're focused on volunteerism, your entire logistical approach hinges on volunteer activity. You can't scale that, especially in a capitalist society. So how can you better the lives of your people if you're hoping that they volunteer? Nah, we got to go out there. We got to get it. We got to pay our people so that they can see that it pays to help their community. And we got to go buy that produce. Because imperfect food should not be synonymous with Black and brown communities.
Yep. And you mentioned that. You said, why would I have to go to these bakeries, to these grocery stores to get the almost expired produce?
Yeah.
Why can't these neighborhoods get the first? Why can't they get the best?
Exactly. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about not just Dream Fridge, but Dream Deliveries is it goes from farmer to wholesale grocer directly to their home. And so that's actually taken out a step, because normally it goes from wholesale grocer to grocery store.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. It's like, no, like we're gonna allow them to believe that they deserve it. They shouldn't look at the freshness and be surprised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is, that like we have to make sure that we understand the intended and unintended consequences of our actions. And for me, I just refuse to look at somebody as less than because they need to be a patron of the fridge or they want Dream Deliveries. It's not a less than or greater than thing.
Correct. Man, brother. you're poking at my heart, and I appreciate the challenge, and I appreciate just you, that energy, even though we've never met in person. I feel a deep, strong connection
Definitely.
because you're a benevolent person.
I mean, but
And
that's how it should be.
correct,
I think when it
correct.
comes to our leaders, we've allowed them to be bad people, you know?
Yeah,
And you know, we can have difference of opinion, but if I know you're a good person at your heart, then that disagreement won't ever go beyond what we're talking about. And so
correct.
for me, it's just, you know, I feel that the undertaking that I've taken on, you know, I've learned a lot, even in a year of our organization. And so it's important that I set myself apart, not by actions,
Yeah,
but by the small things that end up growing into how we view, you know, community relations, or we view government. You know what I mean? If I sat here, you know, and said to hell with the police, what the hell does that have to do with
yeah,
food insecurity?
absolutely.
We have to be careful about sowing divisive seeds. I'm not saying that I agree with anything, any side, but what I'm saying is my focus is on feeding people, and everybody
Yeah,
got it. And that's what it's about. It's about understanding that, you know, food insecurity, you know, is what my focus is. And I want to be that master, that subject matter expert of fighting, of owning, of innovating, of bringing, you know, the real energy back to what we need, so
yeah,
that hopefully I can, you know, dream of the days that dream deliveries will be viewed like the free breakfast program from the Black Panthers.
there you go.
Something that is devoid of, you know, political spectrum. It was about something that was loving in its creation, and that stood the test of time. And that's what it's about for me. It's understanding that, you know, if it's truly love, then it will always be viewed as such.
Absolutely. You also are in a fellowship, like the
Yes.
last 4 to 5 months.
Yes.
Can you go into that whole process of you being selected and how you've seen the growth
Definitely.
that you're experiencing?
My my engine fellowship, especially our cohort, our group is outstanding, man.
Mm,
Like it's from all over the United States, but like they're just so I'm I don't feel like I deserve it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I truly, and I've expressed it to them, like they're so damn amazing and smart and insightful and crazy leaders and innovators, and I respect all of them so much. And so, you know, I take little tidbits of our you know dialogue, of our sessions, and I just try to apply, you know what I mean, and learn, you know what I mean. And so, you know, a lot of the fellowships and cohorts, they're highly politicized, you know what I
okay.
mean. And you know, I am a humble guy, but if you learn about what we've done, you know what I mean, as a first year nonprofit, I don't need to be, you know, doing a nonprofit for 5 years to learn and get my lumps. Like we're cash positive now. We don't have any debt. You know what I mean? We've distributed 40,000 pounds of brand new produce that we purchased. The impact is there, the community relationships there. So when it comes to what we're doing and what we're building, a lot of, you know, cohorts and groups that I applied for, I didn't get a chance to interview. But if I interview, then, you know, I know that, you know, not only will the work speak for itself, but my spirit and my soul will be front and center. But, you know, if I don't get that chance, then I just want it. So for me, um, I'm blessed to be a part of a fellowship and a cohort that I truly believe I was meant to be a part of. And, you know, I just, you know, I'm totally in awe of being a part of it. But, you know, the way that I can repay, you know, my cohort is by making sure that I be the best version of myself I can be. And I
Okay.
feel like that's what I've done.
For sure. It's truly inspiring listening to you. Like it really, really is. And I know I didn't get your answer for this, but I do want you to explain what the sandcastle means.
Oh, definitely. So, you know, I said when it comes to the dream team, you know, when you're at the beach, you have a lot of different groups. You have the surfers, you have the sun tanners, you have the people playing ultimate frisbee, you got people playing catch with a football, you got you know, people who run in the water that run back when the tide comes in. And what the dream team, what this movement is we're all way at the end of the beach and we're just building a sandcastle. And we're building it for everybody else. It's not for us. You know, when you build a sandcastle, you don't build it to say, "Hey, I built this." You build it to show people what beauty can come from, you know, what everybody else has access to.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, it's not always about money. You know what I mean? It's not always about, you know, relationships. It's just about effort. It's about believing. And while we're building this castle, we believe that we're the baddest castle making clan out there. And when we're done, we're going to present this beauty to everybody else, and they'll see this labor of love and just appreciate that we gave it our all. That's all. That's what philanthropy should be about.
Does it ever end?
Nah.
Like when the sandcastle is finally built and people recognize it, even though it's not there for that.
You don't.
When
it never ends because you showed them what was possible.
Okay.
Philanthropy at its core is instilling hope. You know what I mean? That's what our mantra is. You know, feeding families, creating community, fueling hope. And hope is a very, very important ingredient to this gumbo. You know what I mean? And so, you know, if you don't have hope, then you don't have anything, because you have to believe that tomorrow can be better. If not, then, you know, you'll feel as though you're living a listless life. You'll feel as though tomorrow doesn't matter, and that's a scary feeling. And so, you know, we do it to show people that this beauty can exist, so that maybe a little girl or a little boy, or even an older, you know, woman or older male, you know, can look at that like, man, I think I'm gonna get at a try tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna end it at that. I'm gonna end it at that. Dion, thank you for the example. Thank you for letting your light shine. And I hope that it continues to shine brightly on Inglewood, on everything that you touch. I know that it's going to turn up and be something greater than you expected.
I appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. That's another episode of HomeGrown The Series. I'm your host, Emmanuel Davis. Peace.
Definitely.